There was something I actually wanted to get your opinion on. I don't know if you had read this as well. I saw this over at the TeamLiquid.net forums, where they had an interview with July, and July was actually July was one of the players that, for one thing, a lot of the fans wanted to see in this tournament instead of Tossgirl. They thought that she was a waste of time, and July would be
Right.
much more useful to have here. But July, not only is he not playing, he's actually kind of angry and possibly offended that that this tournament even exists, because he thinks what it does is it takes away from those pro gamers who are playing in this tournament but who are also still active players. It's that it makes people think that these are washed up people who
Old,
should only
washed
be
up.
competing
Yep.
against each other, whereas evidently, just from the quality of StarCraft that we've seen in this tournament, as well as the quality of StarCraft that we've seen from these veteran players, and I think Bisu versus NC Yellow is a really strong example of this. These
Certainly.
old school players can just throw down in the regular leagues, and while this is great for the fans, it's not necessarily what these old school players should look for, at least according to July. It's an interesting argument, if nothing else, and I'd like your take on it.
Yeah, that's actually a really that's an interesting point because at the end of the day, what fans want to see and what's good for the sport don't always coincide. And I can see July's point. I certainly can. I mean, there's a lot of talk, about the fact that many of these players, some retired, that are no longer active in the community. You've got guys like Kingdom, or Nara, who are commentators or are looking to be commentators and then just aren't active players any longer. It is kind of insulting to an extent to think about the fact that these guys are just playing in almost like the old timers league. It is what the event almost comes down to. Obviously I was
Sorry to
excited
interrupt
about
you
the
here.
event.
We've gone through a big splash screen intro for both of the players. It looks like we're going to be starting into game two here, so
Yeah,
we'll have to pick that one up shortly because it
yeah,
is a
most
really
definitely, no
worthwhile
problem.
discussion to have.
I agree, but there's the man. That would be none other than Boxer opening up on the stage, and that's just a good thing.
Yep, and here comes Tossgirl. I'm just going to turn my stream volume on, just try to get an idea of the relative applause levels there. I actually can't hear any
Yeah, actually,
applauding at the low volume.
I know, and I'm actually not hearing that much cheering and ridiculousness. Given the personality hugeness that you have on the stage right now, I was actually expecting a little bit higher of a fan reaction. You've got the obviously the most popular StarCraft player literally ever, and then kind of the anomaly. The best female StarCraft player that's ever lived either.
Yeah, and I don't know what the Korean perception of Toss Girl is, but I think there has to be you have to respect her achievements, even if they came out of different leagues that didn't achieve the same kind of commercial success as the male StarCraft leagues did.
I'd certainly have to agree. I mean, Toss Girl takes a beating in the foreign community, in terms of the fact that she just, for the most part, does not play at the level that a lot of the male pro gamers do. And that's understandable to an extent, but at the same time, how many people walking around can say that they are the best at anything? And she can easily say that she's the best female pro gamer in the world. There's nobody that's even close. And they essentially, shut it. I mean, she shut down female pro gaming in StarCraft. Like there just wasn't a point anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Toss Girl should just take this as an opportunity to rebrand herself. I am Toss Girl, destroyer of esports worlds.
Indeed. I mean, that's pretty much what she does. She leaves a streaming wake of wreckage and broken souls. So I mean, I personally, think the Toss Girl is solid, and if nothing else, it's solid to look at. So I mean, I can't complain.
Yeah, and speaking of a trail of wreckage, I think she's looking to leave the Terran Emperor Boxer in that trail of wreckage following this game.
And I'd be more than curious to see what she's going to be able to do. I mean, we've seen two different Toss girls show up to this tournament so far. We saw the Toss girl that played Reach, that played a very, very solid standard game, and was able to capitalize on a big mistake that Reach made and just bring the game home. And we also saw the game against Yellow, where she just was absolutely terrible. She just got manhandled in every sense of the word. And you just don't know which one is going to show up. And that's, I think, one of the things that that a lot of detractors from Tossgirl often bring to the fore, is the fact that you just have a level of inconsistency in her play, that you just don't know what Tossgirl is going to do at all. It's almost like, watching somebody. The argument that a lot of players make in the pro community about foreigners, that you have no clue what they're going to do, because they're just, it's crazy. They're just not pros.
Yeah, it's the suggestion for the foreigners that they're just playing at another level, and that level is, one below. And I think that's also something that Tossgirl has been accused of in terms of never knowing what to expect from her. I recall, I think it was in the Winners League, she had played a game against Up Magic, where she had gone for a 6 racks bunker rush, Terran versus Terran. It was kind of interesting to watch. And Tossgirl, I think one of the things that her detractors say about her is that she relies on these cheese strategies because she doesn't have the solid mechanical skill to back things up. And
Right.
I don't necessarily think that's true. She's renowned as having 300 plus APM. She probably has the mechanics to go for solid standard play. It's just she doesn't seem to do it often. But like you were suggesting, and from what I've read about Tossgirl anyway, it seems that she's a capable standard game player. It's just that's not what she usually opts to do.
Right. And I honestly wonder about how much of that is psychological and how much of that is actual capability. When you're told, it's not like she can't read. She's obviously knows what people are saying about her. And I can't imagine that, the observations that everybody has made on, or that the critics have made, have gone unnoticed. So, at this point, also, what are her coaches saying? What are the guys at SDX telling her to do? There's a lot of things that might go into the way that she actually plays out games. And I don't know that she's really that poor of a standard game player. I mean, honestly, the way she finished off Reach was extremely standard game play. It was just basically, taking care of the advantage that she had managed to secure, and she just finished the game out. She's incredibly capable of playing a standard game. So yeah, I don't know. She does have the mechanics, I feel. It's just that sometimes you see her make decisions that are obviously just questionable.